The Matrix Revolutions is the concluding chapter of the Matrix trilogy and a film that I like more than most. It seems almost unanimous that this is the worst in the trilogy at this point, but I would disagree as I think that this is a fair improvement over Reloaded and actually a pretty great film. The biggest criticism of the Matrix sequels is the CGI, and this film does have less of the balloon people, but there is still a lot of CGI and green screen. Not to mention, the balloon people do make a reappearance in the finale where they even get close-ups. But I would say that the effects, aside from the finales, still hold up pretty well. The Zion battle scenes are the best CGI of the film, in my opinion. The Sentinels still look good to this day, and the effects for the lightning rifles look great too. The other common criticism is the characters of this film, and to a lesser extent the previous. I do think that the characters in this film are very hit or miss. On the one hand, we have great new characters like Z and Link, but we also get Myphoon and the Kid, and yes, that is his actual name. So yeah, the characters are a very mixed bag, as the film is in general. I would argue that the first 15 minutes or so of this film are on par with the original Matrix. Not only are the action scenes in this area of the film incredible, but they also bring back the Merovingian, one of my favourite characters from the previous film. The Train Man and Ramachandra are both interesting new characters that are unfortunately hardly in the film past the first 15 minutes. The incredible thing about this opening is how it balances action with dialogue. For half of it, you have Neo and Ramachandra and his family in Mobile Ave, which as everyone knows by now is an anagram for Limbo. There is a sense of mystery to Mobile Ave which I wish had been explored more in this film, but you never know, The Matrix Resurrections is coming out in December, so maybe we'll see more of it then. On the other hand though, you have an incredible string of action scenes as Trinity, Morpheus and Seraph try to hunt down the Merovingian who has control of Mobile Ave. I do have one little nitpick though, it's just how bad and rubbery the costumes look in that scene. So yeah, I do actually really like the first 15 minutes or so of this film, but unfortunately that is definitely the peak of the film. Not to say that the rest of the film is bad though, definitely not, but I find that the first 15 minutes is very hard to live up to. Alas, let's move on to my next favourite part of the film, the Zion battle scenes. While they're definitely not the best battle scenes but to film or anything, it's still some incredible action. I don't really like the Kid's arc in the film. It doesn't really land at all, but the opposite can be said of Z's arc in the film for me. Kara, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Z both work together, and you get to see Z's transformation from just an ordinary citizen of Zion to a soldier with the help of Kara. But other than the character development, there is also just incredible action. I mean, it's a bit unrealistic that the Sentinels are just in a line instead of splitting into separate groups, but I always thought that it might be because the Sentinels were only basic machines and they were just programmed to follow one Sentinel and attack when they sense a human. Of course, that explanation has a few holes too, because some split up anyway, but that's just how I see it. Yeah, as a whole, I do enjoy this section of the film quite a bit, mostly because it never really drags. Even when the arcs that I don't have any interest in are happening, there's still jaw-dropping visuals to distract you from it. And that is unfortunately where the jaw-dropping visuals end and the mediocrity begins. I would say the final confrontation between Smith and Neo is my least favourite part of the film. First of all, Smith is hardly in the film and isn't really allowed to be a threatening presence during it. But also, couldn't the machines just reboot the Matrix, and if not, couldn't they just harness energy from the sun that is clearly shown to be still reachable earlier, and just kill all the humans? Also, Trinity's speech doesn't really land for me, and neither does Neo's sacrifice. Especially in the case of Neo's sacrifice, it feels very robotic and doesn't deliver the necessary emotional punch to make you care. The final fight scene between Neo and Smith, while the cinematography is excellent, CGI is frankly the opposite. I don't even know what possessed the Wachowskis to do close-up shots of CGI Smith. I mean, they didn't even do that in Reloaded, the film famous for having really bad CGI. Yeah, that ending fight is pretty awful, but luckily the epilogue is quite nice, the statue making a sunset for Neo and the Oracle and Architect reuniting for the last time. So overall, I do think this film's pretty great, and I do think that it's just slightly better than Reloaded, though I would say both are good, and while this film's conclusion for the characters of Neo and Trinity left much to be desired, I'm still going to give the film as a whole a 7.2 out of 10. Thanks for watching. I couldn't really think of a video for this week, which is why I'm uploading this early. I also just wanted to finish off the Matrix films, move on to a different franchise now. I'm still not sure which yet, but I think maybe Die Hard because the majority of them are good, even though it has its fair share of awful or just plain mediocre films in it. If not Die Hard, then probably either Star Wars or Lethal Weapon. Anyway, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, bye.